Elevator maintenance folks. What is the weirdest thing you have found at the bottom of the elevator chamber? I once accidentally lost my driver's license down the little gap in the elevator doors. Just dropped it and was super unlucky as it slipped through. It turned up in my mail 10 years later. Obviously long expired, but still crazy some maintenance guy found it and bothered retuning it. Got pulled over once. Handed the PO my license and he dropped it in the crack where the window would have been. We looked at each other for a second. He says good luck and walked away. Edit. It took a few minutes to take a vent off the side and grab it with a wire and some tape. Well over 1500 tax returns at the bottom of the Atto's North Brisbane office elevator shaft. Worked at a hotel. Guest dropped their phone down the shaft. After a few failed retrieval efforts, we called the elevator guys. They went down, got the phone, and also found a carton of eggs. Rotten, but not cracked. I don't even understand how that could happen accidentally. Our team dropped a steel anal dilator down the dumbwaiter shaft by mistake. When the technician came down and grabbed it off the floor, I'll never forget the look on his face when I told him we need that up here, it's got to go in someone's ass soon. It was priceless. I'm a technician for a hospital. Dealing with rectal surgical tools is very normal. This question should be my jam, but unfortunately I've never found anything interesting. To coin once. A dime bag of some unknown drug. Plenty of syringes. Or sets of keys. It's mostly just people's junk mail and empty chip bags down there. I had a coworker who was opening a candy bar and dropped it down the shaft by accident. Hopefully the building's rats were able to enjoy it. Not a technician, but do work at a large hotel. A few years ago one of our elevators stopped working. Turned out when they opened it up they found a 3-foot pile of guest folios that were never delivered to the rooms. Later when we looked on the camera we found it was a security guard that got tired of delivering them to the rooms and instead dropped them down the elevator shaft. He did this for months until he was caught. The elevator guys in my dad's office complex found pieces of a dog's skeleton. Not the whole skeleton, just random parts. The same dog at least. I'm sure they did DNA tests just to be safe. Did they find out it was 100% that bitch? It wasn't cheddar, just some common bitch. Someone took our fluffy boy. Not our fluffy boy. One of my baseball coaches, when I was a kid, lost his glass eyeball in the elevator shaft. Maintenance guy gave a solid WTF. Bundle of Watchtower magazine's Jehovah's Witnesses pamphlets wrapped in duct tape. Inside it was a Rossi 44 special revolver and a screwdriver. Worked security in a large department store. We routinely had to pop it open to retrieve dropped keys, wallets, and phones. Recovered a 2500 gold necklace covered in poop. A would-be shoplifter darted out of our jewelry department and suitcased the necklace while in the elevator. When he realized we were waiting for him at the exit level, he went back up a floor, removed it, and dropped it down the shaft. We arrested him anyway, much to his surprise. Keys. Trash. Bugs if the building is exceptionally spooky. Mostly dirt and dust. Found a paint roller that the last guy left there once. It was stuck to the floor. Not a whole lot of weird stuff can make it between the cylinder landing. Surprisingly nothing too extreme. Not an elevator tech, but I'm an electrician, so we will find ourselves in a pit from time to time. Some ID badges, credit cards, coins. Once I found a red pen. It was out of ink though. Work for a major transit hub. We have our own trade departments. I'm in elevating. Weirdest things I have found are as follows. Chucky doll head. 13 rubber duckies in one pit. Drug needles almost daily. Silicone jump mask. Every day is an adventure. At a place where my wife used to work. A body. There was a crash from the elevator area. The boss went to see what it was. Came back white as a sheet. And said do not go out there. 2 maintenance guys had been working on the elevator. One was in the bottom of the shaft. And the other one made one small error. but I'm guessing the single most unusual item ever found at the bottom of an elevator shaft was a Wright R2600 aircraft engine on July 28, 1945 in the Empire State Building. Not an elevator repair person, but you would be shocked by the number of nurses that drop their keys down the shaft. 20 stories up and 2 buildings away from the parking garage, and they already had their keys in their hand. I had to call maintenance all the time for retrieval. Not a nurse, but I work for them, totally unrelated to my comment. I once dropped my key stepping into an elevator and they landed on the gap, with one key bridging the gap and all the others hanging down in the gap. Let me tell you, I reached down and grabbed them most gingerly. I used to keep my work security pass in the card holder in my wallet. Once, my friend bumped me as we were getting out the lift and the same thing happened. It landed straight across those years of playing Operation Finally Get to pay off sooner or later lol. A couch. Not joking. It was a walk-in pit that a homeless person had retrofitted into a small living room. Pest control tech here. Snakes had gotten into the pit and were climbing up and dropping down on people as they rode the elevator. Good times. Empty drug bags / used condoms / needles / money / discarded lotto tickets. Usually the norm. If you are lucky, maybe an infestation of roaches sometimes lol. Retired 40 years in the trade. The best I ever found was a 20,000 bill, but no, a man that found a 7,000 diamond ring, kept it for 6 months, no one ever asked about it, and he gave it to his wife. Why have so many people in the comments found purple dildos? Not an elevator technician, but I can tell you some dude at some point is going to find a Kindle at the bottom of a shaft in a Toronto hotel elevator. Rules to remember. Rule 1. Always check that you zipped your carry-on and didn't leave a gap in the bottom. Rule 2. Kindles fit through small carry-on bag zipper gaps and elevator shaft gaps. Not elevator maintenance, but one time I dropped a set of wheels for a cart in the crack. I'm sure some maintenance man is going to be concerned to find loose wheels in the elevator of a nursing home. Like some elder person is walking around with a wheel-less walker. There are at least 6 people who saw a purple dildo and everyone left it there. Either all have seen the same purple dildo or purple dildos are more a common sight at the bottom of the elevator shaft. Absolutely sure everyone is telling the truth. A doll. Sitting upright in a corner. And a little bag of speed. The Chamber of Secrets. Yeah, a maintenance technician. Harry. In 1988, the same bones were rediscovered when a new elevator shaft near the south parking lot on Elm Street was excavated. At that time, 11 skulls and 88 pounds of bones were found on one day, followed by 119 more pounds of bones. The Inquirer reported that they were being stored at the morgue. Cincinnati Music Hall, built on a children's home, built on a potter's field, built on a burial site, built on bulldozed indigenous mounds. A whole salmon and a king crab. Same kitchen elevator of a seafood restaurant. 120 bills. Tons of needles and condoms. I worked as a phlebotomist in a hospital and had just drawn an elderly male patient. As I pushed my little cart into the elevator to go back down to the lab, his blood vials rolled off and both went right down the gap into the shaft. I felt so bad and went immediately back to tell him I had to red row him. He was thrilled. Said he was excited his blood would be down the shaft for eternity. Such a funny guy. Not exactly answer to the question but still related. When we came to call about broken doors, we was not expecting that someone for some unknown reason stole one half of elevator's door. It depends on the building / neighborhood. I've seen everything from dirty diapers to used needles, keys, wallets, phones, picture frames, sandwiches, and I guess the icing on the cake was a Tamagotchi. No, it didn't work. So we typically just trashed everything unless it was valuable. I always turned jewelry into the management's office, but I worked with guys who definition sold valuables for unsavory purposes. TLDR. That crack between the car and the door sill is a black hole for objects. Not in elevator repair. A few months ago we had a floridly psychotic patient think staring into space. Can't form a coherent sentence. ETC brought into hospital. There was a fire alarm at an apartment building, and when fire went in, they somehow found this guy living in an elevator shaft. He had evidently been there for some period of time. Most of his delusions that he was talking about for me that I could understand were about time travel and Jesus. So we were joking a bit that he wasn't actually psychotic and was just time traveling Jesus. Holy speep, I asked a guy this at work last night. Wasn't as surprising as I expected. Just a ball. A very large ball. That had no business being able to get down there. Then I asked if he ever left anything strange down there for the next guy. He went quiet and slowly turned to me, pulling a Barbie out of his pocket. I had to clean some bad isolation at the top of the elevator chamber. So the maintenance guy bring the elevator with the top at the second floor and we go on top to drive to the top. On the elevator cabin were a few pairs of women underwear and used condoms. So someone was having peep on the top of the elevator. How they got there was a mystery, because it was a very modern one and you need a special key to open the control box to access the top of the elevator. My dad has been an elevator repairman for almost 30 years now. His best find to date was a 12,000 yellow diamond engagement ring. Tried for a while to find the owner, but eventually he got to keep it. I found Dop's serious tag, which he seems to have dropped. Once I got to the fourth comment about purple dildos, I'm out. I'm a maintenance electrician, not an elevator technician. However, I was with a qualified technician during a routine inspection. Towards the end, he sent the elevator to the top of the shaft and forced the doors open. I don't quite remember why, but he had to climb down into the bottom of the shaft around 4 to 5 feet below ground level. Being a stocky, older man, he wasn't in the best of shape. I climbed down the short ladder and completed the task. Laying on the ground close to the wall was a husky double-ended utility knife. This knife had retractable blades on both ends instead of one. The blades were rusty, but everything else was still functioning, so I got myself a cool new knife out of it. A buddy of mine who worked maintenance in a pretty rough, violent and crime-filled apartment building, him and the superintendent found $100K in illegal drugs and military weapons that are classified as destructive devices. Some gang hid it down there. Nothing came of it because the area had lots of dirty cops and gangs. Not an elevator maintenance folk, but one of the elevator in the dorms here on campus has a stream that shows up in the spring that is supposed to happen, which in my opinion is kind of alarming, but then again I'm not an elevator maintenance person. Not weird, but was sent out to a call out because a property owner had said one of their tenants dropped a 10 note down the lift shaft between the landing and car door sills and wanted it back. Get to the job, go into the lift shaft, jumped in the pit, received the 10 note and handed it into reception. Signed out of the job and client was billed $350 for the call out. Goddamn, I wonder if someone mentioned over the phone that it would be more cost effective to just give the tenant a break on rent and call it a day. I got a call to get a woman's wedding ring out of her elevator pit. Coming in at a close second, I found a business card for a dominatrix. Never called the number. If any of you repair guys finds my little Victorian arc Swiss Army knife with the Apple logo silk screened on it, let me know. It has sentimental value. I myself was working in a hospital a couple of years ago and carrying somebody's stuff to their room when I stumbled and lost their hearing aid in the elevator gap. Was feeling so guilty, but they didn't even mind, I think. Me being sus. I was in an elevator once, and it was closing. This guy tried to get into the elevator. I heard something ping and fall through to the bottom of the elevator shaft. Turns out it was a Super Bowl ring. Not sure whatever ended up happening with him, or if he ever found the ring.